My name is Corey, and I want to thank you for watching this film. Before we get started, let's get some things perfectly clear. This is not a political propaganda piece. This is not meant to make you decide on a stance. This is about my experience as a COVID long hauler. Not about making someone believe in masks, politics, vaccines, science, etc. So let's start. On January 23rd and 24th, 2021 is when I contracted it. January 26th is when I noticed I felt something off. I felt something wasn't right. January 28th is when I tested, is when I noticed I had the chills. And I asked my beautiful wife, when's the last time I had a fever? And she said, it's like a decade ago. So I went to urgent care, because I knew that if I had it, I didn't want to spread it to anyone. And so went to urgent care, got swabbed, was sitting at home, and I know urgent care closed at 9. So 9 o'clock that night I get a call, and it's the doctor who had seen me that day. So I get the call and I started laughing. And she says, as soon as she asked me, she goes, "What?" And I said, "I know for a fact there's over 20 medical assistants and nurses there. And I was there when they were calling people to tell them it was a negative test. There's only one doctor on duty and you're calling me." And she goes, "Yes, you have it." And I said, "Okay." During the time, because of the quarantine isolation, with there being, myself, my wife, and our 4 kids, being a filmmaker, I thought to help to keep my mind occupied, I would just do little film diaries to keep myself occupied, because it would be just like everyone else, an uneventful time of the 14-day isolation. I was very wrong. So let's get into it. So from this point on, you're going to see the unedited clips in their complete chronological order, in their entirety. And there's a wrap up at the end. Just so you know, we're at day 117 with active COVID symptoms. You see that I am on 4 liters of oxygen every day. I went from getting up at 4:30 a.m. every day to lift weights and run to needing 4 liters of oxygen every day. I just went to the pulmonologist and she kept asking me if I'd ever had, if I'd ever had asthma as a child, and I told her no. I've played the flute since I was 7. I was a sprinter in high school and college. I've been an endurance athlete for the past 11 years. I've done 5 full marathons, 11 half marathons, and she said this is what COVID has rewritten my lungs, for lack of a better term. And for the time being, I'm looks like I'll have asthma forever. And it's hard to say forever because we're all still learning about this disease, but that's where I am now. And I have 2 inhalers now, and these are the things I'm dealing with. So this is my journey, the first 90 days of being a COVID long haul, and I still have it. So thank you for joining me in this journey. And like I always tell everyone, do better, be better, one love. Let's go. COVID log, fever date. I don't even know what day it is. So today's Friday, January 29th. I started showing symptoms on Tuesday, and it was sort of a body ache, like a soreness. And Wednesday I just felt off. And yesterday I woke up and I had chills. And the last time I had a fever was like a decade ago. And I remember that feeling very well. And I had lost my sense of taste. And I've heard people talk about that, and it's not like how I envisioned it. It really was more like everything tasted bland. So I told Damari we need to go to ICC. About 9 o'clock last night, phone rang. Answered it. It wasn't even like medical assistant. It was the doctor herself. And I was like, yep. And she said it's positive. Apparently I'm in high risk because she wants me to take
baby aspirin every day for issue of blood clots, as well as vitamin D and vitamin C. And I need to get up and walk, but I cannot do dedicated workouts. So, did test positive for COVID. I am blessed in the outpouring of love from people. I post this on my social media. I'm humbled by that. I do not take that lightly, so thank you. This is about as loud as my voice can get before I start coughing. So, I don't know, I'm gonna keep track of this. I figured I'm a filmmaker, I can actually keep track of my quarantine to see how this goes. Thank you guys for riding this journey with me. One love. COVID log, fever date, day 4 since onset of testings, day 2 since positive COVID testing for myself and one of our children. Obviously, since our children are all under 18 and HIPAA laws, I'm not divulging which one, because honestly, that's not anyone's business. So everyone has really been super nice. The only downside is a lot of people have been flooding with a lot of information, and I just can't really focus to read a lot of it. So I filtered it through my wife, bless her. Symptoms fluctuate up and down. I know that's the medicine kicking in. I think if I didn't take medicine the whole day, my fever would be kicking my butt, to be very honest. The sleeping on my stomach advice I've received from so many people who've had this, I'm not sure of the reason behind it, but it seems to work. But waking up in the morning is still the toughest. In case you can't hear by my voice, it definitely feels like someone has, it feels like someone's been standing on my lungs the whole day, like when I'm trying to breathe. But in the morning, because I've been sleeping the whole night and I haven't taken any medicine overnight, it feels the worst. I may revert to, my wife has offered to wake me up in the middle of the night to take medicine. Just, we'll see. Still can feel stuff swollen the doctor was talking about. So here in my isolation chamber of my room, and we're moving next week, so I know I'm in the high risk category that she talks about blood clots, and she spent an extensive time not only talking about blood clots, she spent an extensive time talking about respiratory failure. So I have to take a baby aspirin for the blood clots, and I have to take vitamin D and take vitamin C every day. So, sorry, I felt that coming. And then last night, onset of sneezing, which I hadn't done, and then nasal congestion, which was new. So I know this hits everyone differently, so I don't know. I know my voice sounds different, at least to me, than it did even when I recorded yesterday. So it's interesting. Like I said, use my filmmaking skills to record my COVID journey and piece it together when I'm done. So time to start the day, see how this goes. Oh, still have fatigue, obviously. Still have aching, body aches. I know she wants me to get out and walk, but I am also not supposed to have dedicated workouts. So I'm trying to program my brain that get out and walk does not mean do a mile, because that hurts, and I'm learning that. So, like I said, it's only day 2 after getting my positive COVID test, so everything is trial by fire. Unfortunately, it's a pretty serious fire. All right, guys, thank you. One love. So, still second day of positive COVID test, 4th day of symptoms. Today, I think a fever has stayed down, but definitely energy drain. Definitely energy drain. This has been the lowest I felt, I went for a walk, try to keep blood clot issues down. Was only able to do, I think, maybe a quarter mile. I don't even think it was that much, or half a mile, I think. But like, it took mental convincing, like to put my shoes on and to go, and that was like a 45-minute thing. And like, I'm beat. And breathing is just labored. Like, I think you can hear it even in me in my talking. Like, it's just like a chore. I think it's more than just a painful thing. Like, it's a chore to do so. And so it's not really a good day. On the flip side, our child who tested positive the same day seems to be doing well with their symptoms, so that makes me happy, because I can tell you right now, I don't care about me. I want my child to come through this 100% with no lasting after effects. So I'm not happy that they're doing well. Okay. Now, I guess the issue is just hoping I'm around to even be able to piece all this together. I guess the smartest thing to be able to do is go ahead and piece together each day, so if something happens to me and I do end up on ventilators, my wife is able to piece this together. Just being honest. One love, guys. COVID log, fever update, 5 days since onset of symptoms, 3 days since positive COVID test. Still labored breathing. All I've done is gone out to brush my teeth. So today I'm going to try, other than the baby aspirin for blood clots and the vitamin C and D, I'm going to try no medicine to see if my body has held off the fever on its own. There's always that moment when I wake up where I'm like, oh, I feel great. I beat it. And then I get up. And then reality reminds me that no, that's not the case. Then I feel like I'm going to have this forever, and no one ever, other than people who've had it, who've reached out to me privately, talks about the mental game of having COVID and just feeling like you're always in the middle of the typhoon, for lack of a better term. And it's just always water circling around you above your head. So it's kind of what my lungs feel like too. See, I never really noticed the labored breathing until I do something. And in this case, it's talking. But mentally, being a filmmaker, I don't mind saying award-winning filmmaker, being a filmmaker, chronicling this experience helps to keep me anchored. So it's nice. Tonight's different because there's a wrestling pay-per-view, and every month as a family, like, I'll make a score sheet and we keep track of it. Well, tonight we can't watch it together. So my son and my wife and my kids will watch it in the living room, and I'll watch it in here, my chambers, if you will, at the same time, separately. So there's something. I just keep thinking next month, hopefully, when we watch it, we'll be together and this will be a memory. So there's that. Okay. Time to start the day. One love, guys. COVID log, fever, date, So, day 6 since onset of symptoms. Day 4 since positive COVID test. This waking up with chills is not fun at all. It really is not. The good thing is our child, who also tested positive, she is doing so much better. And honestly, that's all I care about as a dad, is that she's recovering well. I don't really care about me, and mentally, that's kind of where I am. This is just wearing me down. Physically, it's worn me down. I am overwhelmed and humbled at the outpouring of love and the friends and families, people I know firsthand and people I only know via social media, who have made sure my family has eaten, or we have groceries in the cabinets and refrigerator because we can't go anywhere. And I'm eternally grateful for that. I'm just over this. So, one of my dear friends ordered an oximeter to measure my oxygen, to be here tomorrow. The only thing, and I'll post this on social media, is everyone's been so quick to very repeatedly offer medical advice. And I don't mean like vitamin D, vitamin C, the stuff like that. I don't consider that medical advice, but I mean like antibiotics and this and that. I'm like, you don't know my medical history, you don't know my medical records, you don't know the medicines I take on a daily basis. You could be telling me something that could kill me. So there's that. I know the day just started for me, but I have a feeling mentally this is probably not going to be a good day. So I may check back in today, see if mentality-wise it changed. One love. I'm out. COVID log. Fever date. 8 days since symptom. 6 days since positive test. So I haven't been on and done this in a couple of days. Yesterday, woke up about 2:30. It was miserable. So drove myself to the ER. Bunch of tests, 2 IVs. I was severely dehydrated. While I was there, I had this 2-minute sweat fest that looks like I broke the fever. Really happy about that. So they sent me home with virtual hospital visits, and I have a blood pressure monitor and a finger pulse oximeter, and I had my first virtual hospital visit today. But I can honestly say today I actually feel just sluggish, which is nice. They gave me some cough medicine too, some liquid cough medicine that really is starting to help. But I know I feel optimistic and hopeful. So, that's it. One love. Hello? COVID log, fever date. 9 days since symptoms. 7 days since testing positive. And even after I thought I broke my fever at the ER, it turns out I didn't, because it's been back. So my body is, which I know that's what a fever is, it's really fighting this, which means it's also really taking over my body. And it's taken a lot for me to fight this. And we've been keeping track of my O2s with the pulsometer, and they want it no lower than 90, and it's been hovering around
88 to be honest. Tomorrow I have my second video doctor's appointment, and I'll go over the findings as my wife's been keeping a chart. I'll go over the results with those to see if they want me to go back. The reason I've kind of been delaying it is because we're also moving tomorrow, and I kind of need to be the only one that can drive the truck. So I gotta muster whatever strength I have, but this is really kicking my butt. And I really feel that this is a long haul thing. I had a little burst of energy, so I shaved my head and trimmed down my beard to basically start over. Everything is just exhausting. It really is. So I feel like I'm just gonna have this forever. I don't know. So I'm gonna go try and relax and drink a bunch of fluids, because when I was in the hospital they made the comment that I was severely dehydrated. So still no sense of taste. So food is weird. It's more of a sustenance than any pleasure in it whatsoever. Or, well, if anything else, it's enjoying the mouthfeel than anything else. All right, so I'm gonna go back. One love. Hello, true believers. Today is day 12 of since first day of symptoms, and day 10 since testing positive. I know it's been a couple of days. You can hear and you can also see I am now on oxygen, because my O2 levels kept dropping below 90, and they were like low 80s, below 90. So I'm on oxygen until my infected lungs can do better. And even then, I started on 2 liters, but I'm up to 3 liters to keep my O2 levels at 91, 92. If it takes 5 is the highest I'm going. If it gets to 5 and they're still dropping below 90, then I will have to go to the hospital, and that's what we're trying to avoid. I've also been given a steroid to take to help with my lungs and getting stronger, because I have COVID pneumonia, and I'm in the severe COVID range now. And to be honest, this is all just mentally draining, to be very honest with you. Nobody wants to hear it. People who have gone through COVID understand it, but there comes a point where you're not even questioning your own mortality. You're just welcoming it. And it's not I don't want to die. It's just all you're seeing is your body just decline. And you realize the only way there's going to be relief of this in a soon basis would be death. And everything is just so hard. It really is. I even just found out my second film, but you don't look like a runner, won an award. I'm a 2-time award-winning filmmaker. I don't think I've even told anyone except Amari. Just don't have the energy. I'll rectify that today, because people involved in it deserve to know. So I'm just trying to hang in there. I have virtual doctor visits every day. The doctor team is super nice. They listen a lot to me and make sure. So we'll see how it goes. We got moved into the new house for the most part. I, of course, was not able to do anything. So there's that. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and I'll be not cheering loudly or anything, but that's okay. All right, thank you, and I'll be back.
Hello. So it has been 15 days since I tested positive, 17 days since first symptom. Still have oxygen. Looks like I'm probably gonna be on oxygen for a few weeks, which is just kind of upsetting unto itself. Without oxygen, without the machine, my oxygen levels dip to mid 80s, which obviously is not good. Trying to keep it at mid 90s. So today I have another video appointment with the doctor. It's just frustrating because I haven't hugged my kids, hugged my wife, going on to past 2 weeks now, and it's all draining, and it just feels like it's never going to end at all again. And so it's hard to keep spirits up, and I lie when everyone asks how I'm doing because I don't think anyone really wants to hear the truth. They just want to hear that I'm getting better. So, and the fact is I'm not necessarily getting better. So there's that. All right, so I'll go back. One love.
So today is 14 Thursday, 15 Friday. So 20 days, 20 plus days, 21, I double check, since being first symptoms, and then a little under 20 for being diagnosed with COVID. Still on oxygen. Today had another video appointment, got a plan of attack to try to work on. Well, it's still a plan of attack of oxygen, which I'm just going to need for a while, and I have to really get used to that. But at least I'm able to get out. Like today, took my daughter to her volleyball tournament because I'm at that point where I'm not going to get anybody else sick. And then according to most studies, I've got 90 days without the possibility of catching COVID again. After that, they're still unsure. You can hear my voice. It's breathing and everything else just tires me out. So I'm trying to change my mental, and I'm appreciative of the fact that the doctors I meet with for my video appointments, they're honest, but they're not letting me get too depressed or too far gone than I already am, I guess is the best way of saying it. So not able to help with the move as much. We're finishing that up today, and that's messing with me mentally because I feel like I'm letting my family down because I can't, we always had the joke, I'm the hired muscle of the house. I'm the one that I hate packing and unpacking, but if you just point where everything's got to be moved, I'll get it done by myself, and I have never been able to help with anything. Even as I'm doing this, with this for 2 minutes, and I'm starting to breathe a little labored. So just checking in, and like I said, when I really turn the corner, I'll definitely start putting this together to make a documentary of my experience with COVID pneumonia. So talk to y'all later. One love. Okay, so as you see in the background, we're still unpacking stuff from the move. Today is day 21 since first symptoms, so day 19 since positive COVID test. Definitely from this weekend, my lungs are sore, and I've definitely taken a couple of steps backwards as far as oxygen, but that's also just a reminder that I'm not close to being without the oxygen, which is kind of scary. I think also one of the reasons I'm doing this is that when you're going through it, it's hard not to think about mortality. I know plenty of people, most of them, who got COVID and got mild symptoms and, got over most of them fairly quickly.
And then I know people who have lost their life. So it's hard not to, when I'm looking at video from a month ago of me working out every day that I would post, to checking my O2 levels every hour and seeing that my body is, I'm only producing 82 or 83% without needing oxygen. Like, it's very humbling, and it's hard not to think about your own mortality, but it becomes increasingly difficult to talk about it like in a social media setting, because everyone's like, oh, just think positive thoughts and everything will be okay. And it's like, just because you're discussing your mortality doesn't mean you're racing to end it. It's just an honest conversation. I'm at 4 liters of oxygen. I know for a fact if I need to go to 5, then I have to go to the hospital. That's not a at-home amount of oxygen, which means I will be hooked up to machines. If it gets worse than that, it's hooked up to a ventilator. That's not negative thinking or something I can just positively blink my eyes out of it. That's a reality of where I am. So, but talking about it, it's people, they get very Hallmark Christmas card advice, or they're giving unsolicited advice about things that they don't really know about. And that's the thing, because no one really knows about COVID. It hits everyone differently. So what worked, or what you heard that worked, or what you saw that worked, is saying it to me is actually more harmful, because you're showing me you're just not listening, and 2, it's like, oh, well, great, that worked for that person, it didn't work for me, and that puts a person in deeper depression, because like, well, maybe if it didn't work for me, it means I'm going to die. So I don't know, it's a lot. That's why I'm doing this. So thank you for listening. One love. So today has been very humbling. Obviously, I'm here as my wife is she's towards the end of her quarantine from testing positive for COVID. Obviously, thankfully, her symptoms, just like my daughter's, are nowhere near mine. I'm in car rider line to pick up our 2 oldest daughters. And today I had my telehealth therapy appointment with my therapist, which is the first one I've had since testing positive, and it's the longest conversation I've easily had since getting COVID pneumonia and everything else. And hour-long conversations, the therapy session, and I'm beat. I am in pain. My lungs hurt. Like, I've run 5 full marathons, and my lungs feel worse than after all combined of those. And all I did was sit and talk. So it's very humbling. I kind of want to just cry, because a month ago I was working out every day, and I was enjoying life like anyone else. And now I'm struggling. You can hear my breathing now from just sitting down and talking to someone. That's where my lungs are right now. And it's hard not to get defeated, not to feel defeated, when it's put in perspective in your face like that. Like, I'm exhausted, I'm drained, and we're talking about I sat down and talked. So this is a journey that this morning I had my telehealth with the doctor team, and they want me to, they were honest in the fact that it's just no idea of how long this is going to take, this process, and that clearly I'm not in the middle of it. I'm not at the end. I haven't turned any corner. I'm very much in the beginning of this process. So, well, there's nothing I can do. So, thank you guys. One love. So today, I believe, is day 24 since first symptoms, so day 22 since testing positive, somewhere around there. I had a telehealth appointment this morning with my doctor. I told him how I tried to lower my oxygen
to 3 liters instead of 4 on Saturday a couple of days ago, and that wrecked me. I was wrecked the whole day, had to nap, barely got out of bed, so I pumped it back up to 4. My O2 levels just, they didn't get past 90 when I dropped it down to 3. I have a physical appointment with my primary care physician tomorrow, because according and telling him my symptoms, the telehealth doctor, possible sinus infection or ear infection. So I'll wait to find out about that, because got to kick me when I'm down. I don't know. This is all just mentally wearing on me, and I realize I haven't turned a corner. No matter what people keep saying, just because I'm not contagious doesn't mean I've turned a corner. I still have these symptoms. I'm going to have them for a while. Our local newspaper, the Courier-Journal, is actually, I'm getting interviewed on Wednesday, a couple of days from now, and they're sending out a photographer to talk about runners and COVID and the long haulers, as I've heard that term several times the past couple of days, of those of us who have these symptoms for a while. So I don't know. I also spent the other day crying in the bathroom for like 15 minutes. It's overwhelming. It really is. And I'm not getting better. So it's not like I'm like, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. No, it's just a tunnel. So I don't know. One love. I'm out. Hello. So today is February 24th. So that means 29 days since my first symptom, and 27 days since my positive COVID test. While I'm no longer contagious, as obviously I'm sitting here in the car rider line to pick up 2 of my daughters, I still have the symptoms. And the term I've heard the past few days from doctors is long haulers. I had my first in-person doctor's appointment with my primary care physician, and I also have a sinus infection I'm dealing with. So add that to everything. It was neat. Today I got interviewed by the Courier-Journal, or the Louisville newspaper, and they sent a photographer out to get pictures, because they've been talking to different people who had COVID, and they needed a long hauler. And one of the reporters had seen my post on social media, so they had asked me. That was pretty neat. It's talking to my doctor, and I'm like, it's just overwhelming. And even my doctor just kept saying, and the nurse practitioner who saw me, who checked my triage, she's like, I saw your name up there, and I saw you were coming in, and I just kept telling everyone, I have a patient coming in who normally gets up at 4:30 every morning to go running, and he's coming in wearing oxygen. So it's all draining. It's just, I'm sitting here, had an phone interview, and then talked to the photographer, and now doing this, and just out of breath, and I'm exhausted, and I'm tired. I did get medicine for the COVID insomnia, which worked last night. Everyone tries to give you Hallmark card advice and tells me to think positive thoughts and I'll heal, and that's just crap. No one wants to listen when I talk about my mortality, but I'm at 4 liters of oxygen, 1 more liter, I'm in the hot. I have to have these conversations. So I don't know. I'm trying to keep grounded, but it's hard. So like I said, I'm gonna need oxygen for months. They're also setting me up with a pulmonologist as well. And my doctor, which I had never heard of, is setting me up with a long-term COVID care group, which I don't wish this on anybody, but it would be nice to be able to have conversations with other people that are going through this. Because like I said, I feel like I either know people who've had COVID, had symptoms of like a runny nose and a cough for a couple of weeks or a week, and they were fine, or I know the other side of the coin where people have unfortunately passed away from this. And I don't know anyone that's in this like me that I can talk to and have real conversations with. I have to temper my conversations. I have to temper the things I sort of post on social media to the extent of I post honesty, but at the same time I keep some stuff, most of it, to myself, because people want to comment instead of just listening. But I don't know. All right, that's enough. Thank you guys. One love. Hello, true believers. So, day 33 since first symptoms, and then day 31 since testing positive for COVID. It's still hard. I mean, I just got out of the shower and I did my oxygen, so I'm less shot of breath. O2 levels are still dropping, so I have to stay at 4 liters. Still lack of taste, some lack of scent, and just exhausting on so many mental levels that, again, I don't think anyone talks about when you're dealing with this. I was interviewed the other day by Courier Journal, like I talked about. That article should be out later this week, but just even with them, I'm the only long hauler they know, and the only one that's, used to be a runner, used to be active, and I miss that. And I'm trying to deal with that, but it's hard when every little thing, I feel like Pinocchio, I'm attached all the time, and it's just very difficult. So I'm trying to deal with all the implications from that. I'm at the beginning of my journey, not knowing what my body will be like post COVID, because, I'm not even at like the middle point or halfway through. I'm still at the beginning of all this. This week I have an appointment with the COVID long-term group, which is on Wednesday. Today's Sunday. That'll be nice to not feel so alone. And then still waiting for the pulmonologist to call me up so they can set me up with appointments there. But it's just, this is my day to day, I either, most people I know who got COVID, they had their symptoms and were contagious for the 10 to 14 day period, and then they're fine. And I have so many friends that are back to running, back to being active, and I'm not. So I try to not spend a lot of time on social media to be reminded of it, but it is what it is. So there we go. One love. Hello, true believers. Today is day 38 since first COVID symptoms, and day 36 since testing positive. 2 days ago, I had my first appointment with the infectious disease doctor / long-term COVID doctor. It was a good appointment. And when I say good, I felt heard. I felt like I'm being taken care of. I felt like there's a good plan ahead. So the next few weeks I have appointments with not only my primary care physician again, not only infectious care in a month, but pulmonology, as well as physical therapy to work on lungs, because at least if I try to push through any workout, someone's there to monitor me. And then blood work. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I took a shower and just put my oxygen on. Blood, speaking of, so I also got some footage this morning of the amount, what's pretty normal, the amount of blood clots I'm blowing out of my nose all day long. So you'll be seeing that as I'm talking. So it's, definitely look away if you're squeamish, but these are the things of COVID nobody talks about. For a few minutes, I thought I got my smell back, but that didn't happen. So, still on 4 liters of oxygen. Again, it's going to be months that I'm going to be on oxygen, and I have to get used to that. Tomorrow's going to be the longest day outside the house since I had COVID, because my second oldest daughter has she has a volleyball tournament this weekend, but usually her games have been back to back to back. And tomorrow's like, she referees a game, has a game, referees a game, has a game, has an hour off, and then has a game. So this will be the longest, and I'll be on O2, so I expect to be exhausted, and I hate that, but I'm a husband and father first. I'm not going to let my family down. Whew. So, really out of breath. I'm going to cut this short. So, it's where we stand now. Next week, got a few appointments. I was also pretty neat. Last week, I told you I was interviewed by the Courier Journal, and yesterday I was interviewed by USA Today. COVID long hauler. That I'm one of those people that people don't know anyone that it's like. Most people that have had difficulty with COVID, that some people, this is what what I've heard, is most people know people with difficulty in COVID, how are the comorbidities involved, and I'm like having this difficulty in COVID that I was, doing okay before, so I don't know. So hopefully my story can help someone else not feel so alone. Anyway, guys, stay good. One love. Hey guys, so it's been a little bit. I think I'm on day 44 since the first symptom, day 42 since the COVID test. I've had 2 appointments with my primary care physician, one with the infectious disease doctor, long-term care doctor. They set me up with physical therapy, which I go to tomorrow, to just see if they can help sort of jumpstart my lungs. And they set me with a pulmonologist appointment, a referral. Pulmonology office called me yesterday to set up my appointment. Today is March 11th. Their first available is May 17th. Ironically, it was in my calendar. That's 90 days, because it was if I want to get vaccinated, they said wait till your 90 days are up, and that's when my 90 days are up, and I'm kind of like, isn't that a little late? So I messaged my infectious disease doctor to see if there's anything that can be done. This week has just been, symptoms seem to be exaggerated, is the only way to describe it. The sluggishness, the breathing, the cough came back. So when I went to our primary care physician, I got cough syrup and little pills to take during the day. The cough syrup is more than that because it kind of knocks you out. It just feels like every day I wake up, it just, it feels like at the end of the day, it feels like every day is just a long day. And it shouldn't. It was not. I mean, it's like when at the end of a long day, like a whole bunch of stuff has happened to you, and it's the end of a long day, and it's a long day. The problem is every day of these 40 plus days has felt that way, and this week it's even felt longer. This weekend, my daughter has our second oldest daughter has another volleyball tournament. There was a small chance it was going to be at the place where I caught COVID from. It won't be, but it'll be in the same state, which has very laxed mask mandates, which is, I'm guessing, how I got this to begin with. So I can't catch COVID. That's part of the 90 days. This is more of a mental PTSD issue, but I'll deal with it because I'm a husband and father first above anything else. And I would never not be there to support my wife and our 4 children. So, newspaper article came out last Saturday in the Courier Journal, the Louisville newspaper, about it was how COVID's affected different people in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I'm the long hauler they interviewed. People have been very supportive this entire time. I don't know if I've talked about that enough. I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get used to my condition. This isn't going anywhere. I talked to my doctor. I said, I think before I had this thought of long-term meant, okay, in the fall, I'll be back to running. I could even run a half marathon. I'll be back to working out. And I'm understanding that long-term means that in the fall, I may be just getting off oxygen. I probably won't be back to running and working out until 2022.
I won't be running and working out at the level I'm used to 45 days ago until middle 2022, if not late 2022. So I have to just accept this. And sometimes that is very difficult, and that is the hardest part. So, I don't know. Thank you guys. One love. Hey guys. So today, according to the calendar, it is March 22nd. COVID brain fog. I literally just looked at the date, and it is 54 days since first COVID symptom. So 52 days since COVID test. Still on oxygen. I go back and forth between needing 3 and 4 liters. I started my COVID physical therapy, which is just words as an athlete, I've had plenty of injuries or surgeries that I've needed physical therapy for, never for breathing. So they have me doing like 6-minute walks every day, even when I'm not there. And then I have exercises to do to really just sort of help to stretch my lungs open. So that hurts, to be honest. But sometimes it's a pain, it's a sharp pain, and then sometimes it's a good pain. So it is what it is. And then when I'm there, I have a circuit training with weights. Can't even call it weights. They're 5 pound and less. And that's not knocking the weight, but that's comparison to what I'm used to lifting. So, and I'm trying not to get bogged down in that. If you guys notice, I haven't trimmed my beard in these 50 days. And, my hair growth has always been someone, even at 48, where I shave my head every couple of days because I choose to, and it's cheaper than a haircut. And usually a month is where I've had my beard a few inches bigger on everywhere, that I'm trying to trim down the rough edges. And the fact that at 50 days, I'm still not covering all the face. This is a virus that really attacks you and breaks you down on a cellular level, and I'm learning that. Some days are good. Last week I didn't do one of these because it was just a bad symptom week for me. So much so, my third appointment, which was supposed to be Wednesday, I called in and I was like, I just don't feel well. And I think every day, I took the kids to school, I had my travel oxygen, and I would just come home and collapse on the bed. And that's the thing about COVID is, it's not even an issue of you might have good days or bad days. It's really an issue of you might have a good hour and a bad hour. And there's no rhyme or reason. You might go like 3 good hours and then just have a bad hour that just shuts you down. At least for me and people I've talked to, outside of the normal, 10 to 14 day COVID symptom, runny nose, fever for like a day, like outside of that spectrum, the people I talked to are like, yeah, that's the part that you can't explain. I do still find myself, I'm trying to get into day-to-day activity, so I have my travel oxygen and everything. But it's amazing how personally hurt. Hey guys, I know it's been a while since my last update. To be honest, it's because I thought I would either be completely done with COVID by the time I would start to edit this documentary, or I would at least start to feel better. Today is April 21st, so this makes 85 days of active COVID symptoms, still on 4 liters of oxygen. Got a pulled muscle here. Waiting in the parking lot at my second oldest daughter's volleyball practice, because life still goes on, when you're a COVID long hauler and responsibilities don't stop. Fatigue is still there, COVID insomnia, COVID brain fog, which kicks my butt all the time. Next week I come up on, or later this week, I guess, on my 90 days, and I'll sign up for my vaccine, because all of my doctors on my medical team had said
how a lot of people have been feeling bad after the second dose of the COVID vaccine, and that for COVID long haulers, they would feel a lot worse even after the first dose and second dose. So I'm waiting after, and besides, with the 90 days, we're immune to it, supposedly, from all the knowledge anyway. So I'm waiting for my 90 days. The kicker being, between that first and second dose, theoretically, I'm not even going to finish that thought. So I still have this. I'm still dealing with this. This has just been difficult. You know, when I originally started this project, I think I've said this before, but again, blame the COVID brain fog. I initially was doing this just as a, you know, my little experience of having COVID, like so many other millions of people have had, and I thought it would just be, you know, the typical mild symptoms that so many others have had, like my daughter has had, like my wife has had, like my friends have had. And here I am 85 days later, and I'm still dealing with this, and so many things. I just had an echocardiogram. I've seen the cardiologist. You know, so many things, and you know, like a doctor reminded me of this. He's like, to myself and to my friends, and maybe even to some of you watching this, you know, 85 days is a long time. You know, it was January 26th. Today's April 21st. It was a long time. But like realistically, it's sort of nothing because I'm just at the beginning of this. You can't put a time frame on this because this is all so everyone's learning, but it's like, if anything, they break things down sort of in 6-month increments, and I'm just at the beginning of this. So, sorry, I gotta take some breaths here. Again, I went from getting up at 4:30 every morning to lift weights and to work out and to run, to needing 4 liters of oxygen 24 hours a day. I still haven't turned off my 4:30 a.m. alarm. I can't bring myself to. Mentally, I feel like I've given up on, like, I feel like I've quit if I do that. A couple weeks ago, I just deleted all of my fitness apps off my watch and off my phone because it was a little too much mentally, and keep getting those notifications. It was just getting to be too much. So I don't know. I'm trying to handle this all that I can because it's breaking me down a lot. So I think I'll stop by again before I really wrap this up and start the process of making the film. So thank you guys for this journey that I'm still on. So much love. Well, today is April 28th. So that is 90 days since testing positive. I'm still suffering with active COVID symptoms. Still on 4 liters of oxygen. Still have COVID pneumonia, COVID brain fog, COVID insomnia. Had a pulmonary test a couple days ago, 2 days ago, because there was a pulmonologist, not the tech. He was able to go over the findings with me, and he was talking about how I could see the damage in my lungs, and how hard that is. Also, 11 years ago, this month, I became a runner. In case you can't see, and I'll show you. In 2 days, 10 years ago, I ran my first full marathon. Now I need 4 liters of oxygen. This is what COVID has done to me. When I started keeping these little vignettes, I just wanted to work on a little project of my experience with COVID, thinking it was going to be like everyone's who's had mild symptoms, not 90 days later and I'm still suffering with no real end in sight. So this is where I am now, and this is my everyday, and trying to do the best I can, but it's frustrating and it's defeating, and it's so hard, and it's so difficult, and it's very lonely because I don't know anyone going through this. I know people that have either, like most people, thankfully have had very mild symptoms, or I unfortunately know people who have passed away. So I don't know. Tomorrow, because it's the end of my 90 days, I'm going to get first round of vaccination, and a month I'll go get my second round. So I'll be dealing with this for a while. Thank you guys for this journey. Wear your mask. Get vaccinated. One love.